My name is Gimiwan. I'm from Cass Lake, Minnesota. I've been working in Ojibwe immersion for a little over 15 years now, and I currently am the executive director of a nonprofit organization who tries to bring all the different Ojibwe immersion organizations into one place so that we can work on common needs and common ideas, common initiatives, try to take the strain off each other's backs by leaning on each other a little bit. And part of that is bringing all of our curriculum into one spot so that we can all draw upon it together. That's one of our current initiatives. So to do that, we made a website, and I'm just going to show you all the website real quick. We don't have the curriculum on the website yet. I do have an uploader, but she's a really busy lady. She's wearing a yellow shirt too. But anyway, we will have curriculum on there soon. We have 6 different schools who've agreed to let us share their curriculum on the website. So that means there will be a lot up there for everyone from birth to grade 5 in the near future. And hopefully before long, we'll have about 12 organizations who shared all their materials together. Right now, what it is, I'll share the screen. So right now, if you want to navigate to it or you want to give it a shot, it's called meanojibwe.org, and it's MIIN. And what we're going to do today with this, since we don't have curriculum up yet, is I want to go over some of the adult resources with you all. I know that for myself as an Ojibwe learner, I got really lucky and I started my career with some fantastic speakers, and I was so blessed. I got to hang out with first language speakers for 10 to 12 hours a day, 5 days a week for several years. But then that ended and I had to continue my learning. And a lot of that was learning how to learn and learning how to use what resources I did have available in the absence of first language speakers. So under the Ojibwe language resources tab is an adult learning tab. And under adult learning, the first thing you'll see is these resources. And I was pretty picky about what resources. These are resources that I used when I started into teaching fundamental Ojibwe language without the assistance of first language speakers. And I know a lot of you are probably familiar with these resources. What I want to do is just have an open conversation about which ones we may use over the others and why, which ones are used in different capacities, and then show you some lesser known uses of these resources. And like I said, this some of you may know this, but usually when I do this presentation, people are pretty surprised by some of the uses of mainly the dictionary, which is what I want to go over. So the first thing we'll do, and feel free to follow along if you want to get on your own dictionary, or maybe get your phone out and pop the Ojibwe Dictionary open on there. It's always fun to do it on your phone as well. So I'm just going to click this link. It'll bring us right over to the Ojibwe People's Online Dictionary. Really common resource. A lot of people have used it, but most people use it to look for individual words, right? So you might say like, man, I forgot the word for salt. I'm going to search in English and look for salt. Got it. There it is. A couple nouns and a handful of verbs, right? Or they'll say, you know, what's that one word? Namadabe, right? What does it really mean? It means she or he sits, and there's a couple of related words there, right? So what I want to do with you all today is look at how you can use the dictionary to expand your vocabulary and your understanding of the language. And now I see some people in the chat. Oh, miigwech, you put in the website. Nice. I like using the Ojibwe People's Dictionary for words we don't always use. It's more on my dialect. All right, miigwech. So like I said, if you open this up on your own, if you open up the dictionary, whether it be on your phone, where do you navigate to the dictionary? Good question. If you just go to a general word browser or a general internet browser, you can type in Ojibwemowin, Ojibwemowin.com, and it'll bring you right to the dictionary. Or you can type in Ojibwe Dictionary, right? Same thing, it'll bring you right there. So whether you're on your phone or you're just watching for now, or you're following along in your own browser, that's great. I want to use this word namadabe. So once you're on the dictionary, go ahead and type in Namaddabe in search in Ojibwe. And then I want you to click on the word Namaddabe. I'll give everyone a minute if they're trying it on their own. And you'll see some common stuff. You know, you see the word type. It's an animate and transitive verb. You can listen to it. You have the definition here. Let me make that bigger for everybody. You have some conjugated examples, namadub, namadabid, namadubid, namadubid for the change conjunct. You have some sentence examples. But what's really interesting, what I'd like to show people is this down here. So I'll show you in the real screen. You have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. You have this section called word parts. And this section called word parts is really helpful for building your vocabulary. So what you'll see here is that Namadub is comprised of two different morphemes, namad, which means upright, and abe, which means sheer he sits. So the cool thing about this section is that if you click on either of these, the dictionary will generate a list of all the words in the dictionary that have that same morpheme. So I always heard when I was a kid that old adage, Eskimos have 100 words for snow. Has anybody ever heard that? Yeah, right? Same thing, right? How many different ways can we talk about sitting in Ojibwe? And there's a lot, right? We don't have adverbs. Well, we do have adverbs to a sense. We don't have adverbs in the same capacity we do in English. So instead we change the verb to accommodate the need of the speaker. So if you click on that abe, here's that list. Abe is a final. It means sheer, he, sits, or stays. And here are the words in the dictionary that use that word part. So here's all the ways in the dictionary that you can use abe to talk about sitting. So just a really neat way to look at this. Even Onwebe uses that same morpheme final be. Animekwabe, Unjakewabe, Apabe, Apitabe, Ashoebe, Ashidakobe, Ajebe, right? A whole bunch of different ones. So it's a cool way to identify, if you're looking for a more specific way to talk about a certain word, related words. You can do the same thing with a different word, with a lot of different words. And it's important that I tell you, not all words in the dictionary have this feature. It's kind of a bummer, but there's another way to do this that we'll get around to in a couple minutes if they don't have this feature. So the second word I want everyone to try, if you're following along, if you're doing it on your own browser, type in Bimibatu. Bimibatu, sheer, he runs, right? And if you click on Bimibatu and scroll all the way to the bottom, like we talked about, you'll find those word parts again. And Bimibatu is comprised of two word parts. Bim, it's a directional, it means along in space or time. And Batu, sheer, he runs or moves fast. So I'm going to open both of these in separate windows up here so you can see both of them. You can click on either or, and what you'll get is a list. So here's, once again, BIM is an initial, along in space or time, and here's all the words in the dictionary. And I'm not saying that's all the words in Ojibwe, it's just what's in the dictionary that use that initial morpheme BIM. So all kinds of different ways to use that. And the same thing with Batu. Batu is a final. He or she runs or moves fast. And here's all the words in the dictionary and all the different ways the dictionary is giving you to talk about running. Really useful. I mean, this specific word, you know, I know when I worked with younger students, finding meaningful ways to use the language in play was really important to me. So finding structured ways that I could introduce specific vocab to students when they were playing tag, for example, or kickball, or whatever it is, just running around randomly out at recess. So having access and understanding as to how to find a group of words around that was really useful to me. Any questions to this point? Show of hands for those of you with cameras on, how many people were already using this word part feature? 1, 2, all right, 2 out of 10-ish, good. Okay, how about the advanced search feature? This is our next thing I want to show you all. Advanced search. Raise your hand if you used the advanced search feature. All right, we've got, are you waving or raising your hand? All right, so we've got a, all right, Miigwech. Well, hi. So we've got about 5 people raising their hands saying they've used the advanced search feature. That's what I want to show you all next. So I was looking at it this morning, wondering which words I'd use with you all. And I thought, what about, I was looking for word parts, right? I thought, what about the word noondao, right? That's a good word. Maybe we'll look at the word parts of noondao, a different verb type. So I clicked on it and I scrolled down and there are no word parts. So like I said, you're going to find plenty of words in the dictionary because the dictionary is still in progress that don't have this word parts feature. But I really want to know different ways to talk about hearing. But there are no word parts. It's not generating a list for me. So one option I have to find related vocabulary is to go up to this advanced search. And when you get there, you have these 3 drop-down boxes. You can do Ojibwe English or key parts. I always stay in Ojibwe. I don't worry about the second one. This third drop-down box is the one that really is important for me when I use this feature. So the third drop-down box lets you search for words that start with a certain sound, have the exact match as a certain sound, contain a certain sound, or end with a certain sound. So for me, I want to talk about noondao. I want related words to noondao. So speak up, what does noondao start with that maybe we could use to search for common vocabulary? Anybody, don't be shy.
New?
Was that new or noon?
Mm,
Oh, I heard
noon.
noon.
Let's do noon.
Okay. So I'm going to type in noon. So what it's going to do is it's going to search the entire dictionary and generate in alphabetical order all the words that start with noon. So we can take a search, and this will get, we get 2 pages. That's not a lot. And we can kind of scroll through here and see here, Anishinaabe. Hey, there's another Ubby word. That doesn't have anything to do with listening. Neither does this, don't have enough room, don't have enough room, doesn't fit, doesn't fit. So I'm looking for listening. Nurse is a baby, hear it. So this starts with noon, right? All of our nooned words here are the ones that are going to have something to do with hearing. So we can kind of adjust that search and say we're going to start for entries that start with nooned. Oops, it's self-corrected. And when we do that, now we found it. So here are all the words in the dictionary that start with nooned and have to do with hearing. So noondum, noondun, noondao, noondaduog, noondadizo, noondagochigan, etc., etc. And we get 2 pages of that. It's just a really fun way if you want to find a word family or you want to find similar vocabulary, but you're not getting it in the word parts. This is another helpful way. You can kind of guess and check. We tried noon, wasn't quite what we were looking for, but once we got to that noon D section, that was. So we just adjusted the search, found ourselves a nice list. And the fun part is you can do the same thing with the end of the word. So let's look at the end of the word. And I was thinking again, what word might be fun here? A lot of words end in what I have here, agwood, right? So I thought noondao, noondagwood, noondagwood, right? Let's try noondagwood. So once again, I'm in the advanced search feature. In the third drop-down box, I'm just moving down to end with, and I'm going to type in agwood. And I want to know what are all the words in the dictionary that end in agwood. And there you go. And it's a really fun teaching tool too. I know you all work with, or I guess I didn't ask, this group in particular, what age group of students are you looking to work with? Or are you currently working with? Preschool, okay, so maybe less applicable. But when you're teaching older students, high school, okay. When you're teaching older students, this can be a really fun teaching tool because when you type in agwood and you generate this list, so how about Brittany Hunter, you're going to be, or currently teaching high school, what can your students assume about that final agwood when they see this list of words?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, no problem. So, so if you're teaching high school students and you're showing them how to use this feature, for example, and you type in Ogwood, and you get all this big list of words, and they all end in Ogwood. What assumption can your students make about the sound Ogwood or the morpheme final Ogwood when seeing this list?
They're all inanimate verbs.
Yeah, exactly. They're all inanimate verbs. So it's a really handy thing to know. Ogwood marks, and I think there's actually probably a word part in there that says that Ogwood is a VII marker. But okay, they don't have it separately. They have it as Mogwood, Nogwood, Togwood, or Pogwood. They don't have just Ogwood standalone in the dictionary. But yeah, you can use it to generate lists of common vocabulary. So whether you're doing it through word parts or the advanced search, this is a great way to find words that can help you be a little bit more specific in what you want to say to your students or what you want to instruct your students. Because let's be honest, namadabin isn't the only word for sit, and it may not be the most applicable word for sit every time, right? Bimibitu is not the only word for run, and it may not always be the most applicable word for run. Same thing with any of our language, right? So using the word parts and the advanced search features is a helpful way for you to increase your vocabulary. That's the first thing I want to show you all. Any questions to this point? Look good to go? Okay. Carissa, how much time do I have?
About 20 minutes.
All right. Well, we're gonna get
like maybe 15.
Okay, maybe 15. The next one I wanted to show you all. So the Ojibwe Dictionary is my personal favorite. Because it's Southwest Ojibwe, which is what I use and what I'm familiar with. So it's really applies to me. It doesn't apply to everybody in this call, right? This orthography, this spelling system, the vocabulary in here may not match up with your community, and that's okay. So this may not be your favorite source. Another source we like to use to find specific vocabulary is freelang.net. I believe freelang stands for free language. And if you want to navigate to freelang.net, I just usually type in freelang Ojibwe, because freelang.net has multiple different languages to translate for. So you need to specify that you're looking for Ojibwe language. Freelang Ojibwe. And when you get here, you'll see a bunch of advertisements, because this is a totally free and non-vetted site. And that's one thing I really want to talk to you all about this. Freelang is kind of like the Wikipedia of languages. You can freely contribute, and anybody can contribute, and it's not really checked or vetted or edited, which is okay. It's still an incredible and super useful source. So when you get here, you'll see you have two options. You can translate from Ojibwe to English or English to Ojibwe. Most of us are probably using the English to Ojibwe. So someone throw out a random word that you want me to look up. Ooh, I got it. Thanks. Sweatshirt. Good. So let's try sweatshirt. So here's one option. Abuezo Bogwayan. And this is CS. I'm not quite sure what CS stands for. I don't know if that's the contributor or the community it's from. But this is a good example because you're not going to find, I don't think, sorry, sweatshirt in the dictionary. Nope. So they don't have a word for sweatshirt in the dictionary, which is okay. Doesn't mean there's not a word for it. It just means it's not in the dictionary yet, or may not ever get there. So as a secondary option, I like to use freelang.net. And because it's open for anybody to contribute, we get a lot of contributions to it of language that isn't found in other sources. So it's a really cool second stop shop where you can look for specific vocabulary. The only caution, like I said previously, is that it's not vetted. So you'll get all kinds of, let me see if I can find a good example here. So if I type in lemon, right? Here's two words, Southeast and Northeast Ojibwe. That's a SE and NE, I'm assuming. Bukade'imin and Bukadamen, right? Pretty similar. Then you get ground lemon, extremely different translations, right? Here's another word for the fruit lemon, as of above, Gimiwan, and this one's animate compared to the inanimate variations here at top. Here's another one from Northwest, Naaman. So we have, look at that, we have 4 different words for lemon from different communities. So once again, great place to stop and look for specific vocabulary, but it might be a little difficult at times to navigate which of these options would be the best fit for yourself. But Rochelle, it looked like you were raising your hand. Jump in, help me out.
No, sorry, I'm not helping. I have a question.
Oh,
So if it's not vetted, like the Abueso Bubgoyan, like to me, that feels like someone took the English and just translated it piece by piece. And maybe it's not really an Ojibwe word that like fluent people would use other than to like try and make it for like somebody asking. Is there any way, like, given that this isn't vetted, is there any way to like figure out situations like that, like what might be, because there's a, it's not just here, it's all over the place that, you know, there's lots of words that are kind of just English translated.
yeah, I definitely hear you. And that's why I always point people first towards the dictionary, because this is, you know, linguists working with first language speakers and confirming vocabulary through elicitation, right? So this is language from our elders. This is also language from our elders, but it might not be brought up in the same way. And this is language from second language speakers. It's language from anybody. And that's why I just wanted to have that caution. There's not a way to vet this information unless you sit down and work with the speaker, which if you have the capacity to do, don't even get on the internet, go sit with your speaker, right? But no, there's not really a way to vet this beyond that. So that's why it's a secondary source for me. It's still really useful. You can still find all kinds of helpful stuff. Like, let's see if they have Texas in here. Nope, no Texas, but you know, weird words. They have a lot of weird words in here that you won't find in the dictionary.
Yeah, and sometimes I pull ones from here and then I just Google them to see if they come up in other documents, and then I'll find them in like a community pamphlet or something like that, that, you know, you're a little bit more, then you have a bit more information on where it's coming from. So that's another, I use this for that a lot, to as a starting point to see what people have done.
That's a fantastic contribution. I do that a lot too, thank you. So great example Rochelle was talking about. Let's take, for example, Bukadamen. I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to put it in a general browser, and I usually type in the word Ojibwe, because otherwise you get all kinds of crazy stuff. But if we do that, we find Bukadamen this is in translateojibwe.com, translateojibwe.com, which I really don't use. Pocket Ojibwe, so this one has Pocket Ojibwe, but no Bukadamen. Bookcase in Ojibwe. So there's a good example. We did a random search for this word from Freelang on the internet. We couldn't find it, you know, we couldn't at a quick glance see any other sources that had it immediately available. You know, if we did the same thing with, for example, Gimiwan, let's see what happens. We find Gimiwan, it is bitter, out of the dictionary, which is pretty similar to a lemon, right? We find, how do you say white guy in Ojibwe? That's useful. Yeah, once again, no, from a quick search, we're not seeing any other examples of Gimiwan just out there on the internet. Doesn't mean it's not a real word. It doesn't mean it's not a useful word. It just means we don't have a quick vetting process through the internet for it. So it's just a little caution, like Rochelle was saying, with words like Abuezo, which means he or she is sweating, shirt, sweatshirt, you know. This just may not be exactly what you're looking for, but it's always good in the pinch. And sometimes it is exactly what you're looking for. And Wase's in the chat here. Also, you could use it as a jumping off spot to check with a speaker in your community, assuming you have access to a speaker. Exactly. Yep. If you're looking for specific vocab, this is one of the sites that offers you a lot of vocabulary, and that's why I wanted to show it. Okay, so just a quick recap before we move on to our next piece. Ojibwe People's Dictionary, really helpful. You have your word parts and your advanced search features, which can help you grow your vocabulary around connected concepts. And you have freelang.net, Freelang Ojibwe, which has a much different vocabulary in it. I don't know if it has more words, but definitely has a lot of words that you cannot find in the dictionary. So really helpful resource. Okay, close some tabs here. Next up, I want to share this with everybody, especially for classroom teachers. This is the Ojibwe vocabulary project called Anishinaabe from 2009. It's really hard to find in print. I think you can get it on one site, they'll print it for you, but it takes a while. But it is available on PDF. What this book is it was a collection of immersion instructors who are here, the non-participant, or right here, I'm sorry, who developed lists of words that they wanted to use in their classroom in Ojibwe that they couldn't find words for. And this can be anything from a hyphen to arithmetic to certain map features. And this project was done to service immersion instructors, but you don't have to be an immersion instructor to access this resource or to find it useful. And I shared this with the 7 Gens group last week. I think you guys got this link in the classroom too. And I think it, I don't remember who was it. Dwayne may have been talking about graphs and flashcards. And so we referenced this document where they brought together first language speakers, here's the list right here, from different communities in the area, and they gave them these words they couldn't find for their classrooms, and these elders workshopped these words and developed this incredible book. It's a bilingual book, and it's organized in both English and Ojibwe. So for example, here's the master word list from Ojibwe to English. I'll just scroll through real quick until we get to the English one. It's a lot, it's really useful. Still, you can see how many words it is. They did a great job. There's also a lot of boogating words in here for some reason. I guess they had a late night one night and they all got goofy and came up with some fun words. Miigwech. Still scrolling down to our English word list. Here we go. Nope. Sorry. You can see though how many words are in here. Like I said, these are all classroom specific Ojibwe vocabulary. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh, help me out here. Who's got, okay, master word list in English. Sorry about that. I should have checked that before. I'm gonna write that down for the next group. Page 89. So down on page 89, here's where it starts. You can look in English for, yeah, I use this book all the time too. It's fantastic. Look for specific classroom vocabulary that you might be using in one capacity or another with your student that you can't find or couldn't find at the time in other common online resources. So some words are simple like air. Here's a way you can say air in Ojibwe. Or algae. There's a great way to say algae in Ojibwe. Aluminum foil. An answer, an amphibian. But there are also words that may not be as applicable to everybody, like an amendment, the Fifth Amendment, algebra, airways, avalanche, battery cell. So a lot of this, like I said, is super specific to a classroom setting where you're going to be instructing in science or social studies or math, but a lot of it isn't. Your breath smells like crap. You know, I wouldn't say that in my classroom, but for some reason that came up in this session with these elders, and they decided to document it because we should be documenting everything we can. All language is good language. So I know Carissa put this link in the chat if you want to grab the link real quick. It's free to download. You just need to get to this site and export it as PDF. But take take a minute right now and download it, because this is not as easy to find as you might think, and not always available free for download. Right now it's free for download, the Minnesota Humanities Learning. So take a minute and grab it. Oh, all links are on the Padlet as well. Okay, miigwech, in that case, I'll move on. How much time do I have left?
Got about 6 minutes.
About 6 minutes. Do I have any questions to this point? Doesn't look like it. Okay. I'm running out of good sources. All right. Anishinaabemowin learners grammar. This is really useful for new learners, especially for new learners who are trying to tackle the really difficult task of learning how to conjugate VTAs. It's an amazing, difficult task for new learners at any level, but we have this really useful site. It's called Anishinaabemowin Learners Grammar. This is the website of Rand Valentine. And Rand is a linguist who works, oh God, help me out here, Carissa. What's the province he usually works in?
He works in Canada? I thought he was in the States.
A lot of his studies were in Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God, I don't pay attention.
I don't know. If you're interested in Rand Valentine, here's how you spell his name. Rand, R-A-N-D, and then Valentine is his last name. When I search for this link, I search for Valentine grammar. And I get this. I get Valentine cards for elementary schoolers. So once again, don't forget to type in the word Ojibwe. Valentine grammar Ojibwe, and you get something totally different. You get this Anishinaabemowin grammar website from University of Wisconsin. I guess is where he's at right now, one of those universities in Madison. And when you get here, up on this top bar, you'll see a grammar link. And once you hit that grammar link, you get all these 5 options down here: background information, sound and writing, etc. Paradigms is what we're going to be looking at right now. So you can click on paradigms if you're following along. And once you get to paradigms down here in number 4, you have paradigms for all 4 of the verb types. I'll just scan them all real quick. So if you look at your VAI paradigms, you can click on one, let's say long vowel finals. So this will be like Bimi Batu or Maja. And you'll see here that there's a little chart that shows you how to conjugate that verb. So I leave, Nimaja, Gimaja, Maja, Maja 1, Majam, Nimajaman, Gimajaman, etc. What I want to go over with you real quick while I still have time, if you're interested in using this link, is what in the world all of these numbers and letters mean, okay? Because this really holds a lot of people up. So right now, we're looking at these VAI long vowel conjugations, and we have this heading here that's labeled as INDP. That means independent, and it just means A form. So this is how you say these verbs in A form. Your next option is INDN, which is independent negated. So if you click on that, you get the negated form. Gawin Nimajasin, Gawin Gimajasin, etc. Your next option is CNJP. CNJ is conjunct, and the P is positive. So conjunct positive, this is B form. Majayan, Majayan, Majad, Majanid, etc. Your next option, CNJN, conjunct negative. So this is just your B form negated. Majasiwan, Majasiwan, Majasid, Majasinig, etc. And then on the last 2 here are IMP. IMP is imperative. That's just your command form. So this is your positive commands, and these are your negative commands. So if we take a look, Majan, Majada, Majag. And for negative, Gego Majakin, Gego Majasida, Gego Majakegon. So that's what these up here mean. And you can check it for your short vowel finals like Wisine, your nasal finals, VA2s, VAI plus O's. So once again, once you get down to paradigms, you can choose your verb type and navigate through those. So if we look at VTA quick, do I have 1 more minute, Carissa?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at our VTA inflection, and you can see my history, I come in here and use this from time to time myself, right? We can choose a VTA. We're going to go to regular VTAs because sadly, that's the only one that's completed. All the other verb types are fine, but when you get to VTAs, you need to choose regular VTAs. And the example he uses here is the word wobble. Really familiar word, right? Gigawobbleman. And once again, you have your different options here for A form positive and negative, B form positive and negative, and command form positive and negative. Now, the next really important thing that you need to know about this page is how to use these numbers on the side or the numbers right here. And that's what I want to just real quick go over with you so that you can kind of make sense of how he sets up this graph. So 1S is first person singular, that's me, neen. 2S, second person singular, that's neen. 3S, third person singular, ween. 3 with a little apostrophe on top, that's the second, third, fourth, the second, third person. Some people call it the fourth person. Down here, some of us call it godug. You have an OS, that's an object singular, that's one object. 1P is us, Neenawind. 2-1 is Ginawind. 2P is Ginawa. 3P is Winawa. OP, that's a plural object. And X is in a, oh geez, help me out here. Indefinite actor. I couldn't think of the word. You don't know who it is. So when you're going through it, if you want to say, did you see them, right? So you're going to go down to you, which is 2S, and you're going to find 2S to them, which is 3P down here. So ge, og, gewabamog. Is it getting confusing now with this site? I can post a chart that I have on the Padlet. Cool. All right. So this is a really useful site. The main difficulty people find with this site is understanding what these letters and these numbers mean. So once again, IND is independent. It means A form. CNJ is conjunct. It means B form. And IMP is imperative. It means command form. So I think that's the most helpful piece of information I can give you on this site.
Oh, you glitched me one.
Yes, ma'am. I hope it was helpful. Explore, check out your resources. They're really fun.
Okay, I'm going to close the breakout rooms. If anyone has questions for Gimiwan, you can always shoot them a message us on the website, Ojibwe.org.
Aho. Wait.